The crystalline spires of the hegemony capital gleamed against the backdrop of 3 crimson suns, their surfaces pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that served as the galaxy's most advanced communication network. Within the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from 47 species gathered in their designated atmospheric pods, each one a miniature biosphere tailored to their specific needs. Admiral Zeftar of the Vorthak Imperium stood at the central podium, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber's adaptive lighting. 6 arms gestured with ceremonial precision as he spoke, his words transmitted through neural implants to every delegate present. The matter before us is clear. His voice resonated through the translation matrix, each species hearing it in their native tongue. Humanity has been granted observer status for exactly 1 solar cycle. In that time, they have demonstrated nothing but primitive aggression, territorial disputes, and technological stagnation. In the human observation gallery, General Carter Wynn sat rigid in his dress uniform, jaw clenched as he watched the proceedings. Beside him, Ambassador Sarah Voss gripped the armrests of her chair, knuckles white beneath her diplomatic gloves. "They still wage wars with kinetic projectiles," continued Kessara, the ethereal dominion's representative, her translucent form shimmering with disdain. "Their fastest vessels require months to traverse their own star system. They have not even achieved stable fusion." A rumble of agreement rippled through the chamber. The hegemony's verdict was foregone. Humanity would be classified as a pre-sentient species and quarantined to their home system indefinitely. Admiral Zeftar raised his primary arms. "By unanimous consent of the Galactic Hegemony Council, Resolution 2847 is hereby enacted. The Sol system is declared a restricted zone. No human vessel shall venture beyond the heliopause. No hegemony technology shall be shared with this species until they demonstrate true civilization." The gavel fell, a crystalline chime that seemed to echo through the very fabric of space. Wynn's comm unit vibrated once, a message from Earth, encrypted with the highest security protocols. "Prometheus authorization confirmed. Await signal." 12 hours later, General Wynn stood in the sterile corridors of Research Station Omega, hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The facility had been constructed in absolute secrecy over the past decade, its existence known only to a handful of military leaders and scientists. Dr. Daisy Hope, the project's chief scientist, met him at the security checkpoint. Her once black hair had gone prematurely gray during the years of intense research, and her eyes held the weight of terrible knowledge. "The Council's decision?" she asked as they walked towards the main laboratory. "Quarantine. Indefinite." Wynn's voice was flat, military precision masking the fury beneath. "They think we're primitives playing with sticks and stones." "Then they haven't been paying attention to our primitive mathematics," Hope replied with a bitter smile. "Come, it's time you saw what your funding has accomplished." The laboratory was a cathedral of advanced technology, its walls lined with quantum processors and exotic matter containment units. At the center stood Project Prometheus, a device that looked deceptively simple, a metallic sphere, 2 meters in diameter, suspended within a framework of gravitational field generators. "Prometheus is not a weapon," Hope explained, her voice dropping to a whisper. "It's a catalyst. The aliens assume we're bound by conventional physics because our technology appears primitive. They don't realize we've been working from the ground up, not from their stolen scraps." Wynn studied the readings on the nearby monitors. "Explain it to me like I'm a career soldier, not a physicist." Every species in the hegemony achieved faster-than-light travel by manipulating space-time through exotic matter interactions. It's elegant, efficient, and creates a specific signature that can be tracked, blocked, or countered. Hope activated a holographic display. Prometheus doesn't bend space. It convinces reality that distance is negotiable, and the practical application. We don't travel faster than light, General. We make light travel slower than us. To any outside observer, our ships will appear to violate causality itself. Their sensors won't detect approach vectors because we'll arrive before we leave. Wynne was quiet for a long moment, processing the implications. How many ships can you equip? The prototype can power a single frigate-class vessel. But General... Hope hesitated. There's something else. The quantum cascade effect doesn't just affect propulsion. It enhances every system it touches. Weapons, shields, sensors, everything becomes temporally optimized. A new voice interrupted from the laboratory's entrance, which means we become gods of war. They turned to see Captain James Morrison approaching, commander of the US Prometheus, humanity's first and only vessel equipped with the experimental drive. Morrison was a veteran of the Martian Rebellion, his face scarred from vacuum exposure during the siege of Phobos Station. Captain, Wynne acknowledged. Your crew is ready. 18 of the best officers in the fleet, all volunteers. Each one knows this is likely a one-way mission. Morrison's expression hardened. The hegemony wants to keep us caged. Time to show them what happens when you corner an apex predator. The US Prometheus was a marvel of human engineering, disguised as a mundane patrol vessel. Its hull bore the scars and patches of a ship that had seen better days, but beneath the deceptive exterior lay technology that would have seemed impossible even to humanity's best scientists just a decade earlier. On the bridge, Morrison watched his crew run through final system checks. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park, his XO, stood at the tactical station reviewing target data. Chief Engineer Rodriguez monitored the Prometheus drive from his station, hands dancing across holographic controls with practiced precision. "Drive status?" Morrison asked. "Quantum cascade generators are stable at 67% capacity," Rodriguez reported. "Temporal field harmonics are within acceptable parameters. We're ready for activation on your command, sir." Weapons. Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, the ship's weapons officer, looked up from a console. "Conventional armaments are loaded and ready. Kinetic penetrators, fusion torpedoes, point defense lasers. And sir..." She paused, glancing at Morrison. "The Prometheus enhancement is active. Our targeting computers are running probability calculations 14 seconds into the future." Morrison nodded grimly. They were about to test humanity's greatest gamble against an enemy that outnumbered them 1,000,000 to 1. "Attention, crew of the Prometheus." Morrison's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. "Today we carry more than just the hopes of humanity. We carry the proof that intelligence, determination, and the refusal to submit are worth more than any numerical advantage. We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for the right to exist as equals in this galaxy." He paused, looking out at the stars beyond the view screen. "The hegemony has made their judgment. Now we make ours. All stations, prepare for Prometheus drive activation." The bridge lights dimmed as massive amounts of power flowed to the experimental drive core. Reality itself seemed to shiver around the ship, space-time bending in ways that hurt to perceive directly. "Drive active," Rodriguez announced, his voice strained. "We are now operating outside conventional physics. Helm, set course for the Hegemony Patrol Fleet at Proxima Centauri. Maximum velocity." "Aye, sir. Course laid in. Engaging drive." The Prometheus didn't accelerate. It simply began to exist in a different relationship with the universe. Stars compressed into lines of light, then faded entirely as the ship transcended normal space-time. The Hegemony Patrol Fleet hung in space near Proxima Centauri like a collection of architectural impossibilities. Vorthak bioships pulsed with organic light, their living hulls armed with plasma cannons that could boil oceans. Ethereal vessels phased in and out of visible spectrum, their crystalline forms housing energy weapons that manipulated matter at the quantum level. Fleet Commander Vexithal of the Vorthak reviewed the sensor data from his flagship, the Inexorable Truth. The fleet consisted of 47 vessels, more than enough to sterilize a dozen primitive worlds. "Any sign of human activity?" he asked his sensor operator. "Negative, Commander. The Sol system remains under quarantine. Long-range sensors detect no movement beyond their outer planets." Vexithal's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Good. The humans understand their place. Perhaps they're not as foolish as—" Alarms suddenly filled the bridge with urgent warnings. Every display screen flashed red as the ship's AI struggled to process impossible data. "Commander," the sensor operator's voice cracked with panic. "I'm reading a massive spatial distortion. Something's coming through, but the readings don't make sense." "Explain." "Sir, whatever it is, it's arriving before it left. The temporal signature is showing effect preceding cause by 17 seconds. Space itself seemed to tear open, reality bending like heated metal. From the impossible wound in the universe emerged the US Prometheus, its hull gleaming with residual quantum energy. To the hegemony sensors, it appeared to be moving at several times the speed of light, while somehow remaining completely stationary. "Unknown vessel," Vexithal transmitted on all frequencies. "You are in violation of hegemony space. Identify yourself immediately or face destruction." The response came not through communication channels, but as a direct override of the hegemony fleet's tactical systems. Morrison's voice echoed from every speaker on every ship simultaneously. "This is Captain Morrison of the United Earth ship Prometheus. You have 15 seconds to withdraw from this system, or we will demonstrate why quarantining humanity was a mistake." Vexithal's 6 eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. Human technology cannot breach our communication protocols." On the Prometheus bridge, Morrison stood calmly as his crew worked with inhuman precision. The Prometheus drive didn't just enhance their ship, it enhanced them, allowing human reflexes to operate at the speed of quantum interactions. "Tactical analysis complete," Lieutenant Tanaka reported. "Hegemony fleet consists of 47 vessels. Threat assessment minimal. The Prometheus enhancement is reading their targeting solutions before they acquire locks." 14 seconds remaining, Morrison announced to the Hegemony fleet. "This is your only warning." Commander Vexithal's mandibles ground together in fury. No primitive species had ever dared threaten a Hegemony fleet. "All vessels, target the human ship. Fire at will." 47 of the galaxy's most advanced warships opened fire simultaneously. Plasma cannons, particle beams, quantum disruptors, and gravitational crushers, enough firepower to shatter a moon, converged on the Prometheus. None of the weapons found their target. The Prometheus moved through space like thought itself, its position shifting before the enemy's targeting computers could calculate firing solutions. But more than that, the ship seemed to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, quantum uncertainty made manifest. "Impossible," breathed Vexithal. "Nothing moves like that." Morrison's voice came again, calm and deadly. "You're thinking in 3 dimensions. We operate in 4. The Prometheus opened fire. What followed could barely be called a battle. It was a demonstration of what happened when a species that had learned to survive through innovation faced an enemy that relied on overwhelming force. The Prometheus's weapons were individually inferior to hegemony armaments. But they fired from positions that shouldn't have existed, striking targets before the triggers were pulled. Kinetic rounds materialized inside enemy shields, having bypassed them by traveling through compressed time rather than space. Lieutenant Tanaka worked her console with the precision of a concert pianist, each keystroke unleashing destruction that seemed to violate the laws of physics. Targeting Bioship Cluster Gamma 7. quantum-enhanced penetrators away. The Vorthak bioships, with their adaptive organic armor, found themselves unable to evolve defenses against weapons that existed in multiple temporal states. Rounds that missed in one timeline struck true in another, the quantum uncertainty allowing for impossible accuracy. Chief Engineer Rodriguez monitored the Prometheus drive with growing amazement. "Captain, the drive is learning. It's optimizing our temporal position in real time, making us harder to track with each passing second." Commander Vexithel watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled by a single primitive vessel. Ships that had conquered a dozen star systems were reduced to drifting scrap by weapons that should have been centuries inferior to their technology. "Retreat," he ordered. "All vessels, emergency withdrawal." But retreat requires time, and time belonged to the Prometheus. As hegemony ships attempted to activate their faster-than-light drives, they found their escape routes blocked by a vessel that could arrive at their destination before they departed. "Running is not an option," Morrison announced. "You wanted to judge humanity's worth. We accept your judgment. Now accept ours." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted exactly 7 minutes and 33 seconds. When it ended, 46 hegemony vessels drifted powerless in space, their crews alive but their ship's systems completely disabled by precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses that had somehow penetrated their shields from the inside. Only the inexorable truth remained functional, spared by Morrison's deliberate choice. "Commander Vexithel," Morrison's voice came through the Vorthak's communication system. "You will return to the Hegemony Council with this message. Humanity rejects your quarantine. We claim our right to exist as equals in this galaxy. Any attempt to enforce your previous decision will be met with proportional response." Vexithel's voice was barely a whisper. What are you?" Morrison's reply was cold as the void between stars. "We are what you created when you tried to cage us. We are humanity unleashed." The emergency session of the Hegemony Council convened within hours of the Proxima Centauri incident. The crystalline chamber buzzed with agitated conversation as species representatives struggled to comprehend the reports flooding in from across the galaxy. Admiral Zeftar stood at the central podium, his usual composed demeanor cracked like ice under pressure. "The Vorthak patrol fleet has been neutralized by a single human vessel. Casualties: 0. Damaged ships: 46. Technological understanding: none." Kessara of the Ethereal Dominion flickered with nervous energy. "Our quantum physicists have analyzed the sensor data. The human ship appears to be operating outside standard space-time constraints. They're not using exotic matter drives. They're doing something else entirely." "Impossible," declared Morgoth of the Silicon Collective, his crystalline body resonating with disbelief. "No species achieves such advancement without following established technological pathways. The humans lack the fundamental knowledge of— The humans lack nothing," interrupted a new voice. All eyes turned to Sage Vorthan of the Ancient Watchers, a species so old that most others had forgotten their origins. The sage rarely spoke in council sessions, preferring to observe from the shadows of deep space. "Explain," Admiral Zeftar demanded. Vorthan's form shimmered, partially existing in dimensions beyond normal perception. "The humans have done what we thought impossible. They have developed quantum consciousness manipulation, the ability to alter reality through focused will and technological amplification. They haven't just built a faster ship, they've built a vessel that makes the universe bend to their intentions." Silence fell over the chamber like a shroud. "Recommendation?" Zeftar asked quietly. "Immediate diplomatic contact. Offer them full hegemony membership with advanced species classification. And pray they accept." 3 days later, the largest diplomatic convoy in hegemony history approached the Sol system. 50 ships representing every major species, their weapons powered down and their shields lowered in a gesture of peaceful intent. On Earth, in the emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, General Wynne watched the approaching fleet through long-range sensors. "They're requesting diplomatic discussion," reported Ambassador Voss. "Full honors, equal status negotiation. It's unprecedented. After they tried to cage us like animals." Wynne's voice was bitter. "Now they want to talk." President Martinez, appearing via holographic link from Washington, leaned forward in his chair. "General, what's the status of Project Prometheus?" Dr. Hope reports the drive technology can be replicated, but it requires exotic matter we can only obtain through deep space mining. The current vessel is our only functional prototype. And if they discover that... Wynne's smile was cold. "They won't. Captain Morrison is about to teach them why appearances can be deceiving." In space near Earth's orbit, the UES Prometheus met the diplomatic convoy. To the alien observers, the human ship appeared unimpressive, scarred, patched, obviously aged. But the quantum distortions around its hull spoke of power beyond their comprehension. Morrison opened communications. "Diplomatic convoy. This is Captain Morrison. State your intentions." Admiral Zeftar's reply came through the translation matrix. "Captain Morrison, we come to offer humanity full membership in the Galactic hegemony. We may have misjudged your species' capabilities." "Misjudged?" Morrison's voice carried the weight of contained fury. "You sentenced us to eternal imprisonment based on your assumption of superiority. Now you discover we're not as primitive as you believed, and suddenly we're worthy of membership." Silence stretched across the communication channel. "We acknowledge our error," Zeftar finally responded. "We offer reparations, shared technology, trade agreements. You offer us what we could take by force." Morrison interrupted. "Why should we trust the word of a council that voted unanimously to quarantine us?" The diplomatic convoy waited, 49 starships holding their breath in the vacuum of space. Dr. Hope's voice came through Morrison's private channel. "Captain, we're receiving quantum resonance patterns from their vessels. I'm reading their shield harmonics, weapon signatures, drive emissions. The Prometheus drive is analyzing their technology in real time." Morrison smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were negotiating from a position of strength, offering humanity partnership. They didn't realize that in the few minutes they'd been in contact, Project Prometheus had already begun dissecting their technology. "We'll consider your offer," Morrison announced. "But understand, humanity no longer asks for permission to exist. We take our place in this galaxy by right of strength, intelligence, and will. If you can accept us as equals, we'll work with you. If not..." He left the threat unspoken, but every alien in the convoy understood. They had awakened something in humanity that they couldn't put back to sleep. 6 months later, Dr. Daisy Hope stood in the observation deck of Prometheus Station, humanity's first deep space research facility. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, she could see the construction yards where Earth's new fleet was taking shape. 27 vessels, each one equipped with refined Prometheus drive technology, each one carrying weapons and systems that would have been impossible without the quantum consciousness manipulation that humanity had secretly developed. General Wynne joined her at the viewport. "The Hegemony Council has ratified the Mutual Defense Pact," he reported. "Humanity is now classified as an ascendant species with full voting rights and territorial sovereignty." "And they still don't know the truth about our technology," Hope mused. "They assume we reverse-engineered captured hegemony equipment. Let them assume. The longer they underestimate human ingenuity, the better our position becomes." Wynne paused, watching a new destroyer slide from its construction cradle. "Any word from Morrison?" "The Prometheus is currently on patrol near the Vega system. 3 more alien species have requested humanity's assistance with territorial disputes. Apparently, our reputation for creative problem-solving has spread. Wynne nodded with satisfaction. From quarantine to galactic peacekeepers in 6 months. Not bad for a primitive species. Outside the station, the stars seemed brighter somehow, as if the universe itself had changed. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars, not through conquest, but through the simple refusal to accept limitations imposed by others. In the depths of space, the US Prometheus continued its patrol, its quantum wake invisible to conventional sensors. Captain Morrison stood on his bridge, watching the galaxy spread out before them, knowing that humanity had only begun to explore the possibilities of their new reality. The aliens had underestimated humanity once. None of them would make that mistake again. 1 year after first contact, Ambassador Sarah Voss stood before the Galactic Hegemony Council as humanity's permanent representative. The chamber had changed. The human delegation now occupied a place of honor among the founding species. "The Andromedan Contact Protocol has been approved," she announced. "Humanity will lead the first expedition to establish relations with extragalactic civilizations." Admiral Zeftar, now a close ally of the human delegation, clicked his mandibles in approval. "The Council recognizes humanity's unique qualifications for this mission. Your species' ability to adapt and overcome seemingly impossible challenges makes you ideally suited for contact with unknown civilizations." What the Council didn't know was that Project Prometheus had evolved far beyond its original parameters. Dr. Hope and her team had discovered that quantum consciousness manipulation wasn't limited to faster-than-light travel. It could be used to enhance human cognitive abilities, allowing individual humans to process information at superhuman speeds and make intuitive leaps that seemed like magic to other species. Captain Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, commanded a fleet of 37 ships, each one a marvel of technology that officially didn't exist. The Prometheus drive had been simplified for mass production, hiding its true capabilities behind layers of misdirection and technological obfuscation. But the real secret of humanity's success wasn't technological, it was philosophical. Every other species in the galaxy had achieved advancement through gradual evolution or technological inheritance. Humanity was the first to develop consciousness-based reality manipulation through sheer determination and the refusal to accept defeat. As the US Prometheus led the expedition toward the Andromeda Galaxy, its crew carried with them the knowledge that they represented more than just one species among many. They were the proof that intelligence, creativity, and the stubborn refusal to submit could overcome any obstacle. The aliens had underestimated humanity's technology, but they had made an even greater error. They had underestimated the human spirit. And in the vast darkness between galaxies, that spirit burned like a beacon, calling out to the universe, "We are here, we are free, and we are just getting started." The end.